Welcome. In front of me is a VIVO Y70, and today I'll go over unboxing along with an overview of this device. So let's start off by popping it open. Yes, we got nothing in here. Got some paperwork and a case. So there's the device. What else we get in here? Some stickers, whatever, no one cares. Paperwork. We get a headphone. Okay, with a normal 3.5 jack, so nothing really outstanding here. The headphones look a little bit trash, to be honest. So then we got a cable, and this will probably be Type A to Type C. And yep, there it is, so Type A to Type C. And then we get a charger. So this is a fast charger 2.0, which means that it charges max at 33 watts. So this is a fairly beefy charger. Hopefully you can see it. So yeah. So this is a really nice charger. Just I'll drop it into here. I'm gonna keep the casing so we can show it off, and the phone obviously, and I just move everything from the view. Oh, let me get rid of this somehow. So while it's turning on, we can go over the specs of it. So it has a 6.44 inch display at 1080 by 2400 resolution, and it is a AMOLED display, so that is really nice. Let's just go through this, skip most of it as much as I can. With a 83.9% screen to body ratio, so as you can see, the bezels are fairly minimal all around. It also has a 409 pixels per inch, and that is because it's a 1080p display, so it is a fairly densely packed display, and honestly something that I came to expect from majority of the devices released in 2020, to be honest. Along flagships and mid-range devices all have basically this resolution, and it is completely fine. I don't expect anything higher, but I also don't want to see anything lower, so 1080p seems to be a really nice sweet spot. So let's almost finish it up. There we go. Now also the front of the display is glass obviously, but the back and the frame of the device is plastic, so the device won't be the most durable phone out there. But still, it costs around 270 euros, so the price of the device isn't anything bank breaking, but the device itself has some nice features, for instance like the AMOLED display or the in-display fingerprint sensor, so that is really nice. And there is also some things that, for instance, I don't really like the triple camera setup. Now right now it looks okay, as you can see right here. It looks kind of high quality, I would say, but in reality those are just garbage cameras, or at least 33 actually no, 33% of it is good cameras, which is only one. But basically the main sensor, which I believe is the bottom one, is a 48 megapixel wide sensor, and then you have a 2 megapixel depth and 2 megapixel macro. And I do talk about this quite often, honestly, whenever I do a unboxing. But the 2 megapixel sensors are just garbage. Let's face it, there is no other way of saying it. They're just useless, and you will basically never have real use from it. And I'll put that to the test when I, for instance, will start using macro, and I'll also cover up the depth sensor and capture a couple photos, so you can get a actual real life look at it of how much difference it makes. Let's just try to squeeze the case in it. Now this case doesn't really want to get on here. There we go, there's one, there's two. Okay, now I did smudge it up, unfortunately. But there is the case on the phone. Now it does add a little bit of a bulk, as you can probably see. But it also does protect your camera. So you can see it makes it almost completely flush. There is a little bit of a lip on the case itself to protect it further, because I believe it would have been the same. The bump on the camera would have been the same as the case, so it would still scratch it. So there's a bump, tiny bit of a lip around it here, and also you have a lip on the case itself, as you can see on the edges. That is so when you do this, it's not gonna scratch the screen itself. So that is actually a little bit nice. Personally, I don't really like it because it adds a little bit of a bulk to it, but it is nice to have if you're the type of person that just drops the phone on its screen. I'm personally not the kind of person, so that's why I don't really like it. But as you can see, this is the display itself. Fairly nice. Let's really max it out. So this is max brightness. Now it leaves a little bit to be desired, the max brightness, but it's still nice and vibrant, and it is a fairly decent display, honestly. And I already touched up on the back sensors, so let's now touch upon the front one. So right here we have a 16 megapixel wide sensor that shoots at 1080p 30 frames, while the back ones can shoot at again 1080p 30 and also 4K 30. Let me also zoom in the camera. There we go. So we have a better view of the phone itself. Now I also have a plant right here. I'm gonna capture a couple of photos of the plant so you can kind of see how it turns out. So let's do that right now. Let's go to the camera. So this looks to be, I believe, the normal sensor. Let me quickly try to find the macro, which most of the time is just kind of hidden because the macro isn't necessarily the greatest sensor. So a lot of manufacturers add the sensor but make it really hard to access. And it looks like it's one of those cases where I need to start looking for it to actually find the sensor. No, that is not it. Portrait, night. Get a 2x zoom. There we go, super macro. So this is the macro lens. And that is how close I can get to it to. There we go. This is keeping it sharp. Anything closer it becomes blurry. So let's pop a photo. And also just for the comparison, this is gonna be the 48 megapixel. So this will obviously be shot from a little bit further, but at a higher resolution. And we're gonna start off, I guess, with the 48 megapixel. Okay, cool. So let's zoom in. So hopefully you can clearly see it. Let me also get rid of the light so there's nothing reflecting. So there is the photo of the cactus, and surprisingly it looks really good, but keep in mind this is the 48 megapixel, so it looks better than I expected, but overall the 48 megapixel is a decent sensor anyway. So yeah, now let's go to the macro, which is this one, and I can already see this is maxed out. Can't get any closer, and honestly for a macro this is not the best. Hopefully I can show off a little bit of how it looks like up close. So not sure if you can see, but it is kind of getting blurry. Now sorry for the lighting, it's a little bit above the light itself, so that's why it's a little bit dimmer. But yeah, so you can see it gets a little bit blurry, but when we go to the 48 megapixel, you can get up closer and basically retain the quality, if not have it better even. So like I said, the 2 megapixel macro is a complete and utter garbage. And now actually let's also check out one more. So to do that I'll need to actually find out which camera is the macro and which one is the depth. So this looks to be the macro. As you can see, when I'm covering up the first one, it is covered up, and if I disable it, yep, when I disable it, as you can see it's covered, but it doesn't actually cover the sensor. So, and I assume the same will happen right now if I cover the second one as well. Yep, so it looks like the two first ones are the macro and depth, while the last one is the 48 megapixel sensor. So now let's also capture just one more photo at a 48 megapixel again, just to see any kind of difference. So there we go. So now we should have a 48 megapixel with sensors covered. And I think I moved it a little bit too close, so basically the point that should have been focused is a little bit out of focus, but the one below is actually in focus. So this is still as sharp as it was before, and this is with it. It looks basically the same in my opinion. The only problem is the focus was in a different place, so things like the rocks aren't necessarily the brightest and the sharpest. As you can see, it's a little bit smudged up here, while here they were, I believe, they're almost in focus. So this is just a matter of me having a focus over the camera on a different point than it was on the first one. But other than that, the background, the isolation, the blur of it, still the same, and nothing really changed here. So like I said, the two sensors are complete useless trash here that you won't really utilize, and I would also strongly advise you to not even utilize it. The macro is completely useless, and if you're planning to shoot up close photos, just launch the 48 and capture it as close as you can while it's still in focus, and when you zoom in you will have a better macro shot than you would have with the actual dedicated lens. So yeah, this is, like I said, a marketing scheme that companies do just to make their phone seem a little bit better than it actually is, and to actually not like basically write off this phone. It is a decent device that cannot be like denied, but I would have liked to see just a single lens and no kind of like this marketing crap that they do. It just takes away from the quality of the product that we already have. That is my opinion. But finishing it up with the specs of the device, it has a Snapdragon 665, comes with only one variant of 128 gigabytes and 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is really nice, plus expandable storage, which is adding to the quality. Like I said, 4,100 milliamp hour battery, again, nice. Could have been a little bit bigger, but it's still okay, I would say, especially with that fairly fast charger of 33 watts max. So they advertise that it will charge your device to 65% in 30 minutes with this charger. So like I said, it is a fast charging here, and it is really nice to see it on a, I would say, basically beginning of a mid-range devices at 270 euros. This is really, I would say, the most affordable mid-range device with fairly decent specs that I would be looking for in my phone. Now personally, I would like to see a version without the notch, the teardrop notch. Just have a clear display without any kind of obstructions, or maybe just a tiny little hole punched camera. That would have been even better. Maybe a little bit of a curved display, that would also be nice. Either that or a higher refresh rate, at least like 90. Then this device would have been, in my opinion, one of the best mid-range devices you could possibly get. But because it's lacking, there are other phones that I would probably pick before this one. That is just my personal opinion. There was one that I have reviewed not too long ago with basically the same price range, but it had curved display, and that is one of those things that I would prefer to have over a flat one. Just a personal taste. If you don't like flat displays or curved displays, then I guess there is no subject for you here. But if you're the type of person that just likes them to be a little bit more falling off and just have that nice kind of smoothness to it, then probably this device won't be too much interesting to you. But like I said, the one that I reviewed not too long ago, I just can't remember the brand. It could have been Realme or something like that. Like I said, I just cannot remember the brand of it. But if you check out unboxings that I have done, you'll most likely find it. So it had a curved display. Again, it was just a 60 Hz, but also it was AMOLED, and also with a under display fingerprint sensor, which made this device for me a better option than this. And apart from that, the display has, or not the display, the device has two different color variants, and they're made by concepts or named by concepts rather than actual colors. So we have Gravity Black and Oxygen Blue. So like I said, it's basically naming after like body washes almost, rather than colors here. But in any case, this, I believe it's gonna be the Oxygen Blue, and it looks really nice. It has this, feels like it's a little bit lighter on top than it is on bottom. Let me quickly also take off the cover just so we can see it a little bit better. So there it is. It is matte, it's not glossy, but it looks really nice. It might look a little bit too bright, too light on the color, I would say. I would prefer it to be a little bit darker, the back, but it still looks really nice, I have to say. And the back of the device looks fairly premium. As you can see, it does hold up to the look of like the actual flagship devices, I would say. The front a little bit less, but like I said, it is basically a entry mid-range device. And also, going back to actually what we have on here, we have a Type-C port, obviously, but we do also have a headphone jack. That's for the headphones that come included. Then on the left side, we got nothing. On the right side, we got power key along with the volume rockers. Hopefully you can actually see it. Let me move the light. So there it is. And on the top, we got a SIM tray along with the SD tray and microphones. So yeah, and that's about it. And finishing it off, like I said, the device comes at around 270 euros, and it is a fairly compelling price for this device. Things like the AMOLED display are really nice, and the fact that it comes with under display fingerprint sensor I also really like. And yeah, like I said, for 270, it's a fairly decent phone. The question more is now, like, if you prefer the flat display or curved one. If you prefer a curved one, like I said, there's a different alternative to this at about the same price, with virtually the same specifications. In addition, I believe it has one additional camera. That is, well, more than it has here. And yeah, apart from that, they would both be the same basically. But if you're looking for a flat display like this one, this is a really decent device. It might not be anything flagship, like you won't be getting any performance of a flagship out of this one. It is a Snapdragon 665, but for the price that you get and what it has inside, along with the actual aesthetics and, well, the display quality, it is you won't find anything that beats it at this price range. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a flat display, I would completely recommend this device. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.